this on television. Why not? Because they're scared. Welcome to the March of Freedom.
For years, the idea to embark on a journey like the March of Freedom lay dormant in the back of my mind. This idea had now taken formation as those thoughts had become my reality. I could no longer sit back and watch the world crumble before my eyes, to witness my fellow brothers and sisters suffer to make ends meet in the fascist state that our world has become. I knew something had to be done, and so I left my life behind to embark on the March of Freedom, a journey to spread awareness about global issues and to liberate the hearts and minds of humanity. I had made it to Callander, Ontario, 142 kilometers from the starting point, and I was leaving familiar territory and the sanctuary of civilization behind. I was now venturing onward into the unknown.
We got the cart loaded. It's got tons of stuff in there. Craig's gonna demonstrate how easy it is. Pretty easy, lightweight device. Thanks, Ted. You're awesome, buddy. You saved me. It's got everything I need to survive in it for the journey. Definitely on the right track, so it's time to load it up.
I was really grateful that Craig, Mina, and Chad were able to help me out and get me back on my feet and on the highway again. And Craig said he was going to give me a ride up Highway 11 to get me a place where I could camp out for the night just off the highway, so that after I was done taking down my tent, I could just hit the highway and start walking right away.
Walking from North Bay to Barrie.
That's awesome, dude. What am I doing?
Yeah. It's like that insane of a laugh. Like, I'm gonna be walking.
Yeah.
We'll drive down here, and if we don't find a good spot for you, then we'll go on to the main highway.
The injuries that I sustained to my feet during the first part of the journey kept me in North Bay for quite a few days to heal up before I could continue onward, so it felt really good to be making some distance again.
It's getting dark, and I'm gonna need to build a fire and set up camp for the night, so we're off the Highway 11 now. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. And we found an awesome spot down in there, so we pulled off, and we're gonna go check it out now. I believe we're like out around Powassan, so which is like the next little town beside Callander. So time to set up camp. Well, we're at the new campground, and it looks like we're sharing it with someone. Here's a skunk in the bush there. You can feel the horseflies coming out. You never know if that skunk's gonna come say hello to me. That's the thing, right? You never know what's gonna be out here. If there's a skunk, there's gotta be some bears, and there's wolves around here, moose. There's all sorts of crazy animals, so definitely one thing that I gotta keep in mind when I'm camping out and getting everything I need set up, because I don't want these critters coming around trying to take my food or threatening the site that I'll be building. When people understand the earth and they understand themselves and human beings, really not too hard to figure out what serves us best. What's best for us to survive as a species. Not too hard when you don't have to deal with all the plastic material world that's out there that they try to throw it at you. When you're just dealing with the basics and what's really important in life, that's when things really start to make sense, for sure. He's got some dead wood for the fire. That's gonna burn for a while, for sure. That's like an all-nighter. Gonna go with Chad to get some wood. Gonna need to burn that stuff for quite a while, keep the bears away, and to keep warm. So, gonna need enough wood until it burn for a few hours. Nature's gift to us. Fire started, tent set up, everything's good to go. So, the campsite's ready.
We spent about an hour setting up the campsite and stockpiling firewood for the night, and I was thankful that I was with friends in the great outdoors. It was a memorable moment of the journey, as well as a turning point for what the future would behold. Craig, Mina, and Chad could not stay long, so we decided to immortalize the moment.
Here we are, folks, posing for the video.
The March of Freedom. There has to be peace, world peace.
And soon, the sun fell on the horizon, and I was once again alone in the wild, with my thoughts of what had transpired and what was yet to come.
Well, Craig, Chad, and Mina just left. They helped me set up camp here. We found a good spot, so now I'm down for the night. I'm gonna keep this fire burning for a while. It's really dark. I'm sure you guys are having a hard time seeing me. The fire is hopefully giving a light. I can't see a screen now. I couldn't film the goodbye because it was too dark. Even at the road, there was no light or anything like that. It was crazy to say goodbye to people. It always is, but it's not a goodbye. It's just a see you later. I'll see them again. I have faith that I will. And it's time to keep this fire burning and think about what I'm doing and think about the purposes of what I'm doing and how important this is to me to keep going. You got to take a break no matter how long it is to heal up, to keep going. So that's what I did in North Bay. I'm glad that I had Kelsey there and Chad to help me out through that time. But it's time to move on, and I got the cart, and it's gonna help a lot. So onward from here. I wish you could see this. The stars are amazing in Northern Ontario. In the forest at night, you can see every star. And tonight is a beautiful night. The moon is huge. You can see it. It's around midnight now, still at the campsite. Went through some of the gear and found the flashlight that I'm gonna need right here. So, you can see me, and I can do a little bit of night filming. Very minimal. Won't be able to do too much. But I'll do the best I can. Doesn't have too much reach, but you can still see a little bit. Oh, we got visitors. It's crazy when you can't see nothing and you hear stuff. You're relying on instinct a lot of the time. I've been hearing all sorts of things all night, actually. Movements in the bush, squeaks, just little animals here and there. All sorts of different sounds coming from the forest. It's awesome. Just being alone with that. And being at one with that. We're all put on this earth for a reason, and that's to live on this earth. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's an animal in the bush behind me.
The bumps and sound from the forest kept me on my toes for much of the night, and I could not help but feel a great connection to the earth. I knew deep within me that I would make it home alive, and at around 4 in the morning I decided to get some rest for the long road ahead.
It's been a long day walking around. I haven't spent that much time walking around on my injured foot. For quite some time, I actually relaxed a lot in North Bay so that the sprain could go down. But now I'm all set up inside the tent. You can't see much, I'm sure. But there it is. Everything's along the side. I got the alarm set for early in the morning, so all ready for a day of walking tomorrow. Tomorrow morning I'm gonna clean my feet and I'll make sure that I'm good to go and assess some last minute things, switch some supplies around in different bags, so that's what I'll be doing. So, good night. I would have liked to have slept in a bit longer, but I always had to keep checking on my supplies outside since the cart's out there with all the food in it and stuff like that. I had to make sure that that was safe. Good morning, world. So I managed to get a little fire going there. I just blew on the coals from last night. Started a new fire. I just put some small twigs and branches on there so that I can get a little fire going to smoke out all these mosquitoes, because as soon as I left my tent there was mosquitoes everywhere. The morning and the sunset is the worst time for bugs out in the bush, especially if you're the only living thing around that they can get a hold of. They'll swarm you, and that's what happened this morning. I got to do a lot of walking today again, and it's the first day of highway walking with the sore foot. The sun's already on its way out. It's about 7:30 in the morning right now. I'm rushing to get out of here. Not really rushing, but I need to charge this phone so that I have enough video for the road ahead, because the phone's almost dead. I couldn't charge it last night. The only thing I have to charge off of is the laptop, so I'm in the tent right now. I'm charging it off a laptop there, and I need to put a band-aid on still. I'm going to use a small band-aid and a big one. It seems to be doing alright. I patted it yesterday. Here's one of them. This one I didn't even need to put any band-aid on or anything, but as you can see, the foot there's got a huge blister that went down, and it's actually calloused up. So my feet are definitely getting very calloused from doing this walk. That one's not so bad, but this one here has a band-aid on it, and I'm actually gonna have to take it off. But let's take a look at how damaged it was just from yesterday. Because Craig came with his truck, I was able to get off my feet for a while to come here and set up. But there you go. It's still pretty brutal. Definitely still a gaping wound. And it does seem to be a bit infected still. I got a long walk, and I gotta walk on that, so I'm all looking forward to that. I'm gonna have to keep going. There's no turning back, so gotta do what I gotta do. The wildlife out here is awesome. Last night, that's all I heard was wildlife moving in the bush. I just kept making noise and making my presence known so that any animals would flee the area. Most animals are scared of humans, so once they smell you or they hear loud, heavy noises, they usually don't come in the area, so that's pretty good. But I didn't sleep too much, though, I'll tell you that. I did the best I could, and I got a long walk ahead of me, so sleep's important. I'm glad that I don't sleep too often. I mean, I had problems sleeping ever since I was younger, but maybe that's gonna help me here. I'm used to not sleeping. I'm used to going hard on no sleep, so hopefully that'll pay off in the end. Yeah, a huge thank you to Glenn back home for this sleeping bag. I was gonna buy one, but since Glenn hooked me up, I don't need to buy one. I saved some money. I want to try to get some walking in the mornings. Do a lot of the walking in the morning where it's nice and cool and the sun isn't out yet before noon. So it's 8:30 now. Gotta go. Spider in the tent. There's a spider in the tent.
It didn't take me long to tear down camp, and I was really looking forward to hitting the highway again, not only to get some distance, but also to see how much easier pulling the cart was as opposed to carrying the backpack.
Out of the bush I go with the cart, and to the highway is where our destination is. This thing's definitely easier to pull than walking with a big backpack, that's for sure.
Pulling the supplies in the cart was a huge relief, and I was making much greater distances now that the weight was off of my back.
There we have it. They cut through, you can see the lines going down. The lines going down the rock cut is where they cut to make the road, the highway. You'll see this all over northern Ontario, giant rocks with big scars on them from making human roads. Today's highway walking for me, the highwayman. Trout Creek. I'm not going to be going into Trout Creek because it's off the highway, and I just want to keep straight highway walking today as far as I can get. Not sure how far that'll be. Huntsville's probably about 100 kilometers away. Maybe a bit less now. So I don't think I could do 100K in one day. I'm gonna walk all day, and it looks like there's a chance of rain today. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on the weather too, because if it starts raining, I'm gonna have to find shelter for this. I can tarp it up. But the hat blew off. Does that quite often. Highway 11 South. Going south right to Barrie. So far I've been on the Trans-Canada Highway, Highway 17, and then I through North Bay, got onto 11 South. And there's a crown on the top of the highway signs in Ontario and other places in Canada. And you wonder why there's a crown on there. Well, royalty's still what dominates. Why do you think the royal baby has been talked about so much since I left home? Ever since that baby was born, that's what everybody's talking about. And really, there's much more important things out there than a monarchy. If you want to be ruled by a monarchy, you want to be ruled by a government, then you're a slave. That's what you are. Simple as that. You can either be a slave or you can be your own master. And I've chosen to be my own master. I refuse to have some government rule over me and tell me what to do and what I can and cannot do. I've been camping on Crown land. Crowned highways. There's still the queen on the money, so do the math, people. One thing that's good about Highway 11 is the shoulder of the highway is paved. So it's a lot easier to walk on, especially with the cart. It's really saving my ankles and some feet some damage. If I was walking on the shoulder here, I'd be walking on gravel, and that's the way Highway 17 is actually. So this is really sparing for my feet. It's really awesome to be on Highway 11 and moving onward. As you can see, I got like a sidewalk on the side. That's gonna get me some good distance with minimal damages. So I'm gonna be able to walk a lot farther now as well. So I'm gonna take a little break, have a free lunch under this bridge, and take a break. Refreshment time. The legs are kind of sore just from walking and the muscles, but I gotta get used to that, right? I can feel my muscle tone building more. Just from walking, just from carrying that backpack to North Bay was a huge workout. It doesn't even feel like I'm pulling anything right now. It feels like I'm just walking, really. If you take a look at there's a handle, my hand's on it when I walk, and it really feels like there's like a magnet in the palm of my hand, and that the whole thing's connected by a magnet, and all I gotta do is walk with my arm still, and the thing just pulls behind me. It's pretty awesome. Like, this thing is really helpful. I definitely needed this, so thanks, Ted. That's a turtle. I always check out maps before I leave. I had to get like a photographic image in my head of where I'm going. I haven't needed a map so far, which is good. I just go by the basic highway system.
I walked down Highway 11 all morning, and I could not help but stop several times to admire the natural beauty in the heart of Ontario. There was no civilization here, replaced instead with endless horizons of forest on each side of the highway. I had only traveled in this area a couple of times in a vehicle, so it was unfamiliar and I was not sure what to expect. After taking a couple of breaks, I continued onward into the unknown majestic landscapes that seemed to await me at every corner.
Well, here we are. South River, 14 kilometers, Huntsville 78, and Toronto 301. Long walk ahead of me, that's for sure. If you didn't notice, my hat got ran over by a vehicle. It's kind of lopsided right now, but that's the fun of the road for sure. So there we have it. So I just pulled off to the side of the highway for a break. It's 11:30. I think it's about lunchtime for me. I seen a sign over there and I was gonna take a break at that, but there's nowhere to sit really, so I walked up a little bit farther and here we go. Got a nice little patch of grass over here. Right on the way in, I find some blueberries. They're not really big blueberries. Really small actually, but they'll still feed me a bit. Give me a snack. I got food on me, but always good to eat some natural berries. Right here, found some more, and these ones are big. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for right here, for sure. Good blueberries, big ones. Lunchtime for me. Another thing I just found over here by the blueberries is some needles, pine needles, evergreen. They're all good. You take the needle and you suck all the juice out of it. It's like vitamin C's in there. Lots of vitamin C. So I'm gonna eat some of these. It's starting to rain. Still going Highway 11 south. I think I'm right on the edge of the rain clouds though. There's been cloud cover all day, no sun. Really awesome day to walk for sure. It's been nice and cool, but the rain, I don't want that. I think I've just been beating the rain from walking because I took a couple stops there, and as soon as I stop, I feel a little bit. So I might be out walking the rain clouds here, I don't know. Seems like I'm right on the edge. There's a storm cloud. I was walking for a long time, and I was watching this one slowly get over this bridge from way back there. Saw it get closer and closer, so this is just a small passing storm.
It seemed like I was dodging storm clouds all morning. However, I was thankful that it was providing cloud cover from the sun from beating down on me on the highway. But after walking for much of the morning, I definitely knew that I needed to take a long break. So I found a bridge that would provide shelter from the storm.
Made it to the bridge. Stopped the cart for a minute. And there we have it. That's the stuff I brought. It's pretty loaded, I gotta say. But the wheels definitely, it doesn't feel like much at all. The only problem is walking for so long, pulling something behind you, it's eventually gonna get a bit heavy. It's not heavy, it's just the pushing, the walking, especially up hills. The hills are the worst. That's our beautiful planet. Everywhere you go, it's different. The storm is passing over pretty good. I already seen most of it go by on this side, so that's pretty good. I'm just sitting here, my socks are sitting there airing out my feet, and look at this bad boy. Look at that blister. Gonna be scarred feet after this one. That's a scar from Sudbury to Hager. This one's patched up so it doesn't get rubbed raw. And yeah, there's a couple other little small blisters that are starting here and there, but nothing too big. There's one down there, two little ones. That's not even to Huntsville yet. South River's coming up. I'm hoping that it's on the highway and not off the highway, so that I don't have to walk too far into the community, because sometimes you got to walk a kilometer or two to get to a town that's off the highway. So I'm hoping that it's pretty close to the highway. That break under the bridge really killed the pain, it seemed, because I put my legs out, stretched my feet, let my feet air out, the whole 9 yards, and it really worked. I feel a lot better now from that, despite how much I've walked today. So, gotta keep on trucking to South River. Look at that. People are sharing even on the highway. Must be a good omen, because there's a sign right there. South River. Here comes the highwayman. Take a guess what that is. That, folks, is Algonquin Provincial Park. Very well-known park in Ontario, huge, and lots of bears, lots of wildlife in there. And looks like I'm coming right up on it. So, I'm gonna have to pick a good spot tonight to sleep, because there is a lot of people that come here and camp out, and they leave. They're pretty good with garbage in the parks, but there is still garbage left around and people cooking, etc. Bears are always attracted to that kind of thing, as well as other animals. So, definitely gonna have to pick a good spot to sleep tonight. I don't know when I'm gonna shut her down. My legs are getting a bit tired, but it's not so bad. I still didn't make it into South River yet. There we go. So I just crossed over, so you guys can see the landscape. Definitely got to get back to my cart though, because I don't want to leave it empty-handed, but I figured I may as well stop here and get a shot of this. It's just pure Canadian wilderness for as far as you could see. Definitely a beautiful area of Canada. When I was in North Bay, we were looking at maps actually, looking at some of the little towns on the way just to find a good safe zone, and we saw Sundridge on the map, so Chad suggested that would be a good spot to stop. And it's 2:30 in the afternoon right now. I've been walking since 9. It's always good to meet new people and get their perspective, so that I could say that I've walked everywhere and talked to people in a lot of communities and try to get an understanding of what the community's like and how things are there. That's why I'm doing this. Journey is to meet people and talk with them about what they feel is wrong with the world and how they think it could be better, and to teach people about what I've learned and what's going on in the world, because a lot of people don't know. It's like half and half. Some people do and some people don't, but the ones that don't know that something's wrong. They don't do anything about it, or they don't really know what. So that's the thing. We got to teach them. Well, there's the gas station sign, and if that too stands for kilometers, then that means I got to get 2 kilometers more into Sunridge and South River. Talk about road burn. Looks like I know what people do in South River.
I had finally arrived to this small town that I had never been, making it close to 200 kilometers from the original starting point of the journey.
Dragging this up this hill ain't too easy, I'll tell you that. North Bay 61, Trout Creek 18. So I definitely came a long way. It looks like it's starting to rain. You can see some clouds up there. I could feel a bit of rain, so I know it's just a passing storm, but hopefully it doesn't rain while I'm here. South River welcomes you. And of course it's a Mason town.
A couple of things that were becoming very evident along the journey was the fact that the towns and the cities that I was going to were actually corporations themselves with registered business numbers and everything, but also that all of the occult symbolism that I was finding along the way were directly linked to either the government, the corporate infrastructure, or religious and Masonic institutions.
After a long walk, civilization, place to rest my feet. Awesome. Children of the Corn in South River. You can tell a lot about the way people are by the town they live in, for sure. Canadian Legion, number 390, South River. This place is known for its historic train station, built in 1884. Definitely old, for sure. And let's see if we can find symbolism anywhere here. Oh, the Trillium Foundation. Here we go. definitely got lots of old stuff inside. Oh wow, look at that old piano and lanterns, oil lanterns. Wowza. It's pretty cool. Souvenirs, gift shop, and a can of Raid on the desk. Must have a bug problem in there. But that's pretty cool to see an old historic building like this. And it's pretty cool to see guys driving tractors right on the street. The other two are cut off. I wonder who the one in the middle is. Probably the government, right? And who's the halves? We the people. That's what that symbol and that sign says to me.
Economic action plans, investments, gross, earnings, deductions, net, debt, liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat, communist, socialist. Do you see how these things are meant to shatter our minds and distract us from the realities of life? We can feel these divisions in pretty much every community all over the world.
Apparently I was talking to a local and he told me that Antonio owns the restaurant, he owns the Shell, and he owns a bunch of properties. He's probably got a huge house, but he owns a bunch of properties in this little town as well. So he's making a lot of money in this town. He probably always has, because the Shell is probably the main resource here that for making money anyways in South River, because a lot of people come off the highway to get their gas here. So if you notice the gas price, it's $1.35.9. That's about what it was in Sudbury. So the gas prices are pretty high here because people do have to come off the highway, and they're always filling up there. So Antonio is getting super rich living in South River, I'll tell you that much. So that's one thing I found out about this town. I also found out that the water, they put an advisory on, so you're not allowed to drink your water a couple times out of the year because it's contaminated. You're not allowed to drink without boiling it and stuff. So they do have a concern with that. A really cool thing about South River that I found, they do have a Shell, they do have that and stuff, but there's no big bank in South River, which is awesome. Here it is, the only bank in town. It's not a major bank, not an RBC or Scotia Bank, Bank of Nova Scotia, none of that stuff. A lot of little communities, that's how they start off. They throw in a big bank and then boom, the bank sucks everyone dry. Loans, mortgages, then they get debts, and then they start owning properties in the community, and then they start owning businesses in the community, and then pretty much they start owning people in the community. So it's cool to see that they don't have a big bank here.
While I was resting at the store in South River, I was able to talk with a few people. However, they did not want to be on camera. I learned a bit about the town, and since it was only mid-afternoon, I decided to walk the other 9 kilometers to try to get to Sundridge, the next town over. As I was preparing to leave, Mother Nature decided she had other plans for me, and it seemed as though I would be forced to call South River my home for the night.
I was about to leave town, and I was talking to somebody here, and they said that they're expecting a tornado sometime soon. I know that there's a rainstorm brewing. I've been missing it the whole way here, but it's finally starting to look like it's gonna come down here. I could feel the heat, the humidity, and it's starting to get pretty windy, and I can already feel the rain starting. But if there's a tornado hitting here, I'm gonna have to figure something out, and I'd rather be in a community where there's people around than in the middle of nowhere in the bush off the side of the highway somewhere when a tornado strikes. It's starting to rain. I can feel it for sure. So I'm finding, I found a baseball field with a little portable, a couple little buildings over there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna park the cart underneath, because it looks like there's enough clearance to stoosh this trailer here so that it doesn't get soaked and damaged. That's gonna be a really good coverage from the rain. So I'm doing that right now, and then I'm gonna go to the store. This cart should be covered by then, and I'll still be able to see it from where I'll be. So it'll be hidden in plain sight, just like all the Masonic logos. That's perfect. I know it doesn't leak in there. It's gonna get wet around the edges, so I'm gonna put it right in the middle and just keep it in there for now until I figure something out. There we go. Now that shouldn't get wet under there for now. And if I have to, I'll tarp up the bottom and I'll sleep under there tonight if it starts raining too bad. now that I'm down here, I'm noticing that there's this hard mesh stuff here on the ground. There's a big piece of it over there. There's lots of ant hills there. There's about 20 that I can see. So there's certainly going to be a lot of ants around this area, but I definitely have to get off my feet and lay down. I'm going to find which way the wind's blowing and then build the tent and a tarp system leaning away from the rain against a building shelter somewhere around here. That's what I'm going to have to do to block the rain, I think, because it's definitely coming. A lot of people in town said that they knew that the rain was coming, so I got to be prepared for that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look around for a power source, an electric plug, so that I could charge the electronics if I need to. This phone is about to die, so I definitely need to charge this one soon. I looked over at the bleachers where the cart is. There's nothing. The barn has nothing. It's definitely not too much, but I'm hoping that the arena here or the building next to it will have some sort of plug. I use the grid when I can, and when I do, it's best when it doesn't cost a cent. Well, maybe this is one. There it is. The electric plug. That will be the power source to charge the electronics. I don't want to walk out there and get caught under a storm, so looks like South River is where I'm staying tonight. And I'm going to try to use this time to talk to people, to network with people in the community and ask them their concerns. I already talked to a few people. They didn't want to be on camera, which is pretty unfortunate. I wish people weren't so shy and didn't fear the government so much. I'm doing this for humanity. That's why I'm doing this. And people need to rise up. People need to speak their voice, because when your voice isn't heard, they use that to their advantage, and then they just throw in whatever puppet they want. The famous saying is, the only thing tyranny needs to prevail is for good men to do nothing. And unfortunately, good men and women all over this country are doing nothing every day. They just sit there knowing the problems, but not facing them. So we gotta face our fears. Here's the feed at South River. That blister's mighty huge. I mean, it's looks about the same. Maybe it's a bit more deeper. When that comes apart, it's certainly gonna be painful. There's some more forming here and on the big toe. Definitely gotta try to keep my feet aired out right now, because they're definitely sore. More worried about the condition of these feet. You could tell they've walked from Sudbury to South River with a couple little drives in the emergency situations when I sprained my ankle and there was that tornado that ripped through. But it's pretty good considering. If it starts raining good, I think I'm gonna strip down to my underwear and have an earth shower. Got lots of mosquito bites, lots of black fly bites. Who knows what other kind of bug bites I got. But it's definitely worth it. All of this experience has been worth it so far, and I'm not going to give up. I can't give up here. I can't give up ever. I set out to do something, and I'm going to do it, and I really hope it does make a difference. I know I haven't been really able to talk to a lot of people on video. I have talked to quite a few people, though, but a lot of people are shy and they don't want to be on the video, so that's one thing I'm going to do when I'm here, is definitely try to get a couple people on video before I get out of here.
I didn't want to leave the supplies unattended or chance getting caught in a downpour, so I sat at the park to rest my feet and observed the storm clouds gathering.
Still waiting on the rain. The birds are definitely saying there's going to be rain though, so I always trust nature. They're warning me, so I better stay here and try to bunk down at the baseball field in South River. Like I said earlier, I hope nobody tells me to leave here, because I'm just trying to shelter from the rain and the storm. But it should be alright. People seem pretty polite here, and maybe I'll meet someone along the way. That's what I'm hoping. I hope this person walking their dog says hi. It'd be really cool to talk to somebody about what I'm doing and how I got here. I think they'd be pretty interested in the story. So her dog came and said hello, and I talked to her and I told her what I was doing, and she wished me good luck. She said, I wish you luck with what you're doing. And I said thank you. I told her what I was doing, and she said that she thinks it's a noble cause. It was really good to talk to her. She said that money and religion are the problems that have caused wars all over the world throughout history, and she was bang on about that. She said, yeah, the government's got some problems, so she said it's a good idea on what I'm doing. So that's why I do what I do, for sure. I ain't gonna stop here. Here comes the rain.
I wanted to walk around South River and try and talk to some more people, so I made the decision to bring the trailer into the bushes and wrap it up in a tarp to protect it from getting drenched. It was well hidden and out of sight, and after I was confident enough it would not be tampered with, I wandered the near vacant streets of South River in the rain. It was not long before I ran into Joseph, whom I had met earlier, and a couple of other people along the way.
So the guy that I was talking to earlier at the store, who told me a bit about the history of South River and stuff, I seen him outside of his house when I was near the bank, and he told me to stop by with my iPhone charger cable if I wanted to charge up my iPhone, because this thing's gonna die. I'm surprised it even took this video. Yeah, there we go. The stoosh is untouched. My supplies have not been tampered with. Nobody came back here. Good hiding spot. I tucked it away farther in the bush there so that nobody could see it from the trail behind me. So good thing it helped out. I'm gonna grab the cable really quick and then get over to his house where it's dry, and hopefully he'll let me interview him and talk to him about some things. It's got a little stubby rabbit tail, because apparently this thing's a cabot. That's what I was just told by some locals. Yeah, a cabot. Is there lots of bears around here? It's 10 o'clock at night. I just got out of Joseph's house. He's the guy that I met, and he let me charge up my phone. There's definitely not much going on here. As you can see, it's pretty much one intersection and a couple stores. But it is a really cool town. Like, the people here are pretty nice and friendly. Just a lot of people don't want to talk about, they don't want to be on camera and such. So, like Joseph, he said he didn't want to be on the camera, which is fine. I never want to force anybody to be on camera, but it was cool to sit there and talk. I was in his apartment. He was playing some games on the computer and stuff, so it was really cool to meet Joseph, and it was really cool of him to help me out like that. Time to make sure that my stuff isn't taken at the spot where I waterproofed it. Right on. The buggy is safe and sound. You probably can't see much because it's pretty dark, but found the tarp. No animals got to it. That's awesome. So now I was told by Joseph that the library here in South River has free Wi-Fi. If you go near there, you can connect to it. So I'm gonna go and try and find the library and get some free Wi-Fi right now. See if it's gonna work.
I walked around South River for about half an hour looking for the library, and when I finally found it, I was able to get onto a Wi-Fi connection. My Facebook was still hacked. However, I was still able to send an email to my family to let them know I was alright, since it had been over 24 hours since I last spoke to them.
Here it is, South River Public Library. And I think I just got some Wi-Fi. There's a cool bear sculpture here. Wood carving, probably done with a chainsaw.
My iPhone reached its storage capacity at the library, so I was forced to go back to the supplies, grab my laptop, plug it in at the arena, and transfer all the video files. I did talk to a couple people while I was there that were at a wedding party actually. However, due to the rain, I was forced to go back to camp and set up and bunk down for the night.
So it started to rain and pour, and I had to set everything up right quick under the bleacher, the scoreboard building. I was walking around South River for a while, actually, for a couple hours, just seeing what was going on, seeing if there's people to talk to, and I did talk to a few people. It was pretty cool to talk to them. They're pretty amazed at what I was doing, and they were all aware about government corruption and stuff, which was pretty cool, actually, that there's people that are aware of that stuff around here. So it was pretty cool to talk to a few people at least. They didn't want to be on camera. Hopefully tomorrow before I leave town there'll be somebody. But for now there's going to be a nice lightning storm. I was amazed that I could set this up in there. The roof is just touching. So it's just enough space. I put a tarp on underneath for the runoff. There's a big puddle of water outside from all the water pouring off the building. And it's creating a puddle near the back here. And I don't want that to flood underneath the tent. It seems like there's a little water ditch on the other side, so I don't think any water's gonna get underneath. But I had to tarp up the bike trailer too. That was pretty crazy in the rain. I got soaked. My clothes were soaked. Everything in my pockets got pretty wet. So it was definitely a pretty brutal rainfall. It came out of nowhere. I couldn't see the sky. I was looking for stars in the sky, but I couldn't see nothing, so I knew it was gonna rain probably because there's cloud cover. And it did. Rained on the parade. Oh, there's damage control. This is after walking around South River all day and walking here from the camping spot last night. As you can see, still got some heel damage, but this one here, the big one, it's really itchy. That's a good sign. And the blister on the bottom of that one is still huge, but at least it's not bubbled up. That's the hardest part, is to maintain the feet for sure. But it's healing. That's a good sign. I can't wait till this foot heals and there's a nice callus over that, because I'm gonna be thankful when I don't have to put band-aids and cover up on my ankles.
It was not an easy task to set up a tent in the dark under the portable while it was raining, but it was needed, and I fell asleep under the night sky listening to the thunderstorm pass by. I decided to sleep in a few extra hours that morning to try and have as much energy as possible for the day of walking that was ahead of me.
So it's about 20 after 10 now, and I think I'm pretty much ready to pack up. I got a good rest, which is really needed. I slept in a few extra hours to let the tent dry too. Now I can see the water beads on the walls are all dried up. Here's to starting a new day.
I got a makeshift clothesline here in the baseball field. And I'm wearing dry clothes, but my feet and my socks are not dry. That's the problem. I gotta dry my shoes, I gotta dry my socks. I'm on my last pair of blister socks right now, blister-proof socks. When the shoes are dry, then I can start walking. But look, there's some storm clouds above. That storm is still lingering. I don't know if it's gonna rain hard, I doubt it. It doesn't look like it. But I don't got the weather network out here, so I can't tell. I gotta look at the clouds, I gotta look at the signs of nature that show me how the day's gonna be, but I think it's gonna be a pretty nice day for most of it. I'm definitely gonna have to hydrate myself and have a morning drink. I just went for a pee in the bush over there, and it's pretty dark, so definitely dehydrated a little bit. I ate before I slept last night in the tent. I had some pepperettes, dried beet, so that was good. But still, I gotta get some water in me, gotta hydrate up for sure. So, today looks like it's laundry day in South River. Come on, sunshine. Dry my clothes, dry my shoes, we're good to go. Water faucets are pretty handy to find along the way. There's one right by the tent, actually. There's the tent under there. There's the water pipe. The thing is, nothing. Nothing at all. Water's privatized. They don't want you to have free water. They want you to pay for your water. All things in this earth require water to survive, and yet human beings have privatized it so that we can't have water. We have to pay for water. We need money to buy water to keep ourselves alive. And the whole system runs like that. The whole system is based off of let's make profit off however we can, and these profits are geared towards the necessities of survival.
Also Wasser ist natürlich das wichtigste Rohmaterial, das wir heute noch auf der Welt haben. Wasser ist ein Lebensmittel, und so wie jedes andere Lebensmittel sollte das einen Marktwert haben. Ich persönlich glaube, es ist besser, man gibt einem Lebensmittel einen Wert, sodass wir alle bewusst sind, dass das etwas kostet, und dann anschließend versucht, dass man mehr spezifisch für diesen Teil der Bevölkerung, der keinen Zugang zu diesem Wasser hat, dass man dann dort etwas spezifischer eingreift, und da gibt es ja verschiedene Möglichkeiten. Also.
It's pretty brutal, actually, if you ask me, to divide the world like that. This is what's going to happen when the economy collapses. There's going to be no water for anybody to drink. There's going to be no food. There's going to be nothing to eat, and that's what they want. They want people to climb up each other's backs and worry about it and cause trouble and stress out because they don't have food, stress out because they don't have water, stress out because they can't make rent that month. They want you to stress out. And everybody's stressing out instead of doing the one thing that's needed. And that is to go to the source of the problem and demand changes. We all need to come together and figure this out, because it's not right for us to pay money for water. It's not right for us to pay money for food. Water is our right as a human being to obtain water and drink it, because without that we would die. So we would work together to make sure that we have what we need. That's what's needed. We need to come together, we need to work together, and we need to change this world. We need to throw out the banksters, we need to throw out the government, we need to throw out the corporations. We need to really understand life on a different level, because we're tricked and deceived from the time we're born into believing that the government is almighty, and religion also is a way to keep people within the system as well. So there's so many problems here that we're trying to address. I just hope people are listening. Alright, so it's 5 minutes to 1, and I'm just getting ready to leave now. Everything's dried out, the clothing. The only things that aren't dried out is the buggy here. It's not wet really, but the edges here and the Velcro strap did get wet, so I'm just gonna dry that out a little bit. There's a couple up there. So there's earwigs in here. So I guess if it is outside, damp conditions, I'm gonna have to dump the cart. Just give it a flip it upside down there and shake it out. Get all those earwigs out of there, or at least as many of them as I can. Don't want those getting in my food or in the sleeping bag. That would be the worst. Bunch of earwigs in the sleeping bag while you're trying to sleep. Gonna be tearing down in a few minutes and then hitting the highway. My knee's pretty sore, my legs are pretty sore still, but the sleep here definitely helped relax them. Not sure what's wrong with my knee, but it's definitely starting to hurt when I walk. Probably because the blister on my other foot, the big one, I was walking so much to keep the weight off that one, I was putting more pressure on my other foot, and it's probably hurting the knee and the hip actually. But I didn't think that I'd be able to do this without getting some damage, and I'm willing to sacrifice my body for the greater cause. Definitely. So that's what's going on here. Time to dry out and hit the road. It's gonna be super hot on the highway, way more hot than off the highway. So I'm glad there's cloud cover, because every once in a while the clouds are gonna cover the sun and protect me from the heat. That's one bonus about this, and also there's wind. There's a slight wind every once in a while. Some bigger gusts, so that's really going to cool me down when I'm walking and make me get some extra distance just because of that. So I'm happy that it's a beautiful day here in South River. It was a nice day, nice calm town. Talked to quite a few people in town here to tell them what I'm doing. It was really good. I put up some World Public Union flyers, handed those out. I always got to make sure that I have them. I always keep them on me in my pocket just in case I see somebody. I say, check out the World Public Union. It's we shouldn't have to pay for the things we need to survive, and the world's gone haywire. We got to fix this.
It was time to leave the small town of South River and continue onward into the unknown. After thinking about all the people I had spoke with about their concerns in the world, it was starting to make more sense to me, and a clearer picture began to form in my mind. I realized that there is no problem which has never been solved or cannot be solved. The problems we face now, and will have great impact on future generations, is the giant corporations which have bought governments, industry, and educational organizations in the name of profits and cultural control. People know it exists, however they feel powerless over its control, and many live in fear of learning the truth and realities in the world. Money and working for the necessities for survival seems to me to be the biggest crime in humanity. And until we collectively come to agree to this, through proper education and awareness, we are doomed to repeat the cycle of enslavement, and our planet and its resources will be stripped away and destroyed in the name of increased profits. Life, freedom, and prosperity could be for everyone if we really wanted it. We just have to envision it and realize what is needed for our continued survival on this planet. As I walked onwards to Sundridge, I envisioned this world of equality, and I knew that it may not come in my lifetime, but it would happen in the near future. The world is waking up, and after we wake up, we rise.
And what's really important in life, that's when things really start to make sense, for sure. He's got some dead wood for the fire. That's gonna burn for a while, for sure. That's like an all-nighter. Gonna go with Chad to get some wood. Gonna need to burn that stuff for quite a while, keep the bears away, and to keep warm. So, gonna need enough wood till it burn for a few hours. Nature's gift to us. Fire started, tent set up, everything's good to go. So, the campsite's ready.
We spent about an hour setting up the campsite and stockpiling firewood for the night, and I was thankful that I was with friends in the great outdoors. It was a memorable moment of the journey, as well as a turning point for what the future would behold. Craig, Mina, and Chad could not stay long, so we decided to immortalize the moment.
Here
we
we
are,
are,
folks.
posing for the video.
The March of Freedom. There has to be peace, world peace.
And soon, the sun fell on the horizon, and I was once again alone in the wild, with my thoughts of
Wonder. So, time to set up camp. Well, we're at the new campground and it looks like we're sharing it with someone. Here's a skunk in the bush there. You can feel the horseflies coming out. You never know if that skunk's gonna come say hello to me. That's the thing, right? You never know what's gonna be out here. If there's a skunk, there's gotta be some bears, and there's wolves around here, moose. There's all sorts of crazy animals, so definitely one thing that I gotta keep in mind when I'm camping out and getting everything I need set up, because I don't want these critters coming around trying to take my food or threatening the site that I'll be building. When people understand the earth and they understand themselves and human beings, it's really not too hard to figure out what serves us best. What's best for us to survive as a species. Not too hard when you don't have to deal with all the plastic material world that's out there that they try to throw it at you. When you're just dealing with the basics.
and on the highway again, and Craig said he was going to give me a ride up Highway 11 to get me a place where I could camp out for the night just off the highway, so that after I was done taking down my tent I could just hit the highway and start walking right away.
Walking from North Bay to Barrie.
That's awesome, dude. What am I doing?
It's like that insane of a laugh. It's like, I'm gonna be walking.
Yeah.
We'll drive down here, and if we don't find a good spot for you, then we'll go on to the main highway.
The injuries that I sustained to my feet during the first part of the journey kept me in North Bay for quite a few days to heal up before I could continue onward, so it felt really good to be making some distance again.
It's getting dark and I'm gonna need to build a fire and set up camp for the night, so we're off the Highway 11 now. Thanks guys, I appreciate that. And we found an awesome spot down in there, so we pulled off and we're gonna go check it out now. I believe we're like out around Powassan, so which is like the next little town beside Cal.
Like the March of Freedom lay dormant in the back of my mind. This idea had now taken formation, as those thoughts had become my reality. I could no longer sit back and watch the world crumble before my eyes, to witness my fellow brothers and sisters suffer to make ends meet in the fascist state that our world has become. I knew something had to be done, and so I left my life behind to embark on the March of Freedom, a journey to spread awareness about global issues and to liberate the hearts and minds of humanity. I had made it to Callander, Ontario, 142 kilometers from the starting point, and I was leaving familiar territory and the sanctuary of civilization behind. I was now venturing onward into the unknown.
We got the cart loaded. It's got tons of stuff in there. Craig's gonna demonstrate how easy it is. Pretty easy, lightweight device. Thanks, Ted. You're awesome, buddy. You saved me. It's got everything I need to survive in it for the journey. Definitely on the right track, so it's time to load it up.
I was really grateful that Craig, Mina, and Chad were able to help me out and get me back on my feet.
They won't show you this on television. Why not? Because they're scared. Welcome to the March of Freedom.
For years, the idea to embark on a journey